Have you ever felt like something, or someone, was lurking in your home hidden just out of sight, but so close you could feel it? You know, that gnawing sensation, like you're not as alone as you thought? Well, I used to laugh it off, until I wasn't laughing anymore. It all started last winter. My family inherited an old house, a place none of us had ever stepped foot in before. My great-uncle, who owned it, had died years ago, leaving the place empty and untouched for almost a decade. The house was old and worn, creaking with every gust of wind, as though it was breathing along with me. But it was ours now. The basement was by far the most unsettling part. It was damp and dimly lit, with an awful smell like rotting earth and mildew. I'd get these awful chills every time I walked past it, but I shrugged it off as just a creepy basement. A few weeks after moving in, strange things started happening around the house. Small things at first, faint creaks and bangs in the middle of the night, lights flickering, doors left ajar that I knew I'd closed. But then things started to go missing. Little things, my keys, a couple of dollars from my wallet, the remote. I figured I was just forgetful, or that my younger brother was playing tricks on me. One night though, I was home alone and couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Every creak sounded heavier, every shadow darker. I could feel the weight of someone's gaze on me, especially as I passed by the basement door. Then, I heard this soft, dragging sound coming from below. It wasn't like anything I'd heard before. I froze. Part of me wanted to go down there, to prove that there was nothing, but something held me back. The next morning, I told my family about the noises. My dad brushed it off, laughing at the idea of a ghost and blaming it on the pipes or the old heating system. But that night, my little brother came into my room, pale as a ghost, whispering that he'd seen someone down there. I tried to reassure him, saying he'd probably just had a nightmare, but he swore up and down that he saw a figure standing at the bottom of the stairs. I couldn't ignore it anymore. We decided to check it out together. Armed with a flashlight, we went down the basement stairs, trying to ignore the smell that was even worse now. My brother stayed at the top, his eyes wide with fear. The light flickered as we descended, and there pressed against the far corner of the wall, half hidden in shadows, was something, or someone. I felt my blood go cold. I shone my light, but the figure didn't move. It was a man, his face barely visible, but his eyes, those eyes stared right through me, dark and hollow, like he hadn't slept in decades. He didn't say a word, just stood there, staring. I bolted up the stairs, dragging my brother with me. We locked the basement door and never went down there again. We couldn't convince our parents, of course, and eventually, they just called it a case of childhood imagination. But to this day, every time I pass a dark staircase or hear a faint noise in the dead of night, I remember those eyes, watching, waiting. So, yeah, I don't laugh at ghost stories anymore. I know some places hold onto things, and sometimes they're waiting for someone foolish enough to come find them. Hope you enjoyed that spine-chilling tale. Let me know if you'd like a little twist or any extra details added.